lying on my back in a hospital bed, peering up at the glaring overhead light. This is definitely not what I expected. And yet, despite my shivering hand gripping my phone, my entire body felt like it was on fire. My heart thumped in my chest as I listened to the call ring on the other end. "Amanda," I croaked the instant she answered. "I'm so tired and in so much pain that I've drained my throat. Please come grab the twins for me. I don't have anybody else." Her characteristic, long sigh, the one she always let out whenever something bothersome occurred, echoed into my ear. "Center on her, Daniel. I'm going to go right now," she said. "I already told you, I have tickets to a show tonight." If I hadn't, I wouldn't make the call, I muttered, swallowing through the searing agony in my belly. I reassured myself that it wasn't serious. But then they discovered internal bleeding during the hospital's emergency procedure. Oh my God, she cut me off, her tone more irritated than worried. "When you bring up the topic of crises, what am I supposed to do? I can't just up and leave everything because you asked for my assistance out of the blue." I tensed my grip on the phone, taking a deep breath. The sole explanation for my lack of backup was Amanda's rejection of every babysitter, every friend, every relative I had ever counted on. My parents were gone. My in-laws had been distant ever since my first wife passed away 3 years ago, their grief making them cold and disconnected. And my best friend, Nate? He was out of town on business. Amanda was absolutely the only person remaining who could step in. But instead of expressing an ounce of concern, she was moaning about her concert tickets. "I have nobody else to watch the kids," I answered, pushing my voice to stay calm. "I'm already on a gurney. They're prepping me for surgery." "You're being theatrical," she snapped. "What do you want me to do? Cancel my plans? I spent months waiting for this show. It's Elton John, Daniel. Elton freaking John." I closed my eyes, my pulse beating in my ears. My life was hanging in the balance, and all she worried about was missing a night out with her boyfriend, her partner, the man she had publicly flaunted for the last 6 months, while I paid for her bills, her car, and her apartment. "You're telling me you can't miss one concert to watch your stepkids while I go under the knife?" I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. Another dramatic sigh. "Daniel, I'm not their mother. That was your first wife's job. You're the one who wanted to play single." "Dad, I didn't sign up for this." My heart stopped for a second. She had never spoken it out loud before. Not so bluntly. Not so cold and cruel. I knew Amanda wasn't the nurturing type. I had attempted to believe she cared about Caleb and Sophia, even in her own shallow way. But at the end of the day, she had no love for them, or for me. My voice caught, the final piece of denial snapping inside me. "So that's it? You're just going to leave them alone while I'm in surgery?" "They'll be okay," she remarked dismissively. "Just get a nurse or something to keep an eye on them. Hospitals have those, don't they?" A numbness seeped through my body. She was truly serious. She didn't realize how awful this was, how absolutely inhumane she sounded. I moved my gaze toward the corner of the room where my children sat in tiny plastic chairs, clutching their toy animals, gazing at me with huge, terrified eyes. They were 4 years old. Their mother had died before they were old enough to remember her face. I was all they had, and I was about to go under anesthesia without knowing whether I would wake up again. And Amanda, she wasn't just walking away. She was leaving them stranded. "I hope you enjoy your concert," I said, my voice bland. "Oh, don't be like that," she let out a mocking laugh. "You always act like the world is ending when something happens to you. Maybe if you weren't so emotional, you'd know how exhausting you are to be around." Exhausting. That was the term she always flung at me whenever I asked for basic human decency. Amanda had never lifted a finger to help me raise the twins. She had never comforted them when they woke up crying for their mom. She had never cared about the restless nights, the fevers, the tantrums, the scraped knees. Yet I had lingered. Not for her, but for the delusion that she might grow to love them. That maybe, if I gave her time, she would step up. But she never did. And today, she made it very plain that she never would. A hard hand touched my shoulder. I flinched before discovering it was Rebecca, the nurse who had been monitoring my vitals. She had been listening. "I'll contact someone for you," she murmured quietly. "You don't have to do this alone." Amanda's voice still reverberated in my ear. I didn't sign up for this. She was right. She hadn't. But I hadn't signed up for a wife who would forsake me on my deathbed either. My fingers moved automatically, pulling up my financial app. In 2 clicks, I canceled every automatic payment I had been providing her. Rent? Gone. Credit card payment? Gone. Amanda had been sucking me dry for years. Not anymore. The phone was still close to my ear. Amanda was still talking, still taunting. Me like this was a petty inconvenience instead of the end of our relationship. "You know what, Amanda?" I interrupted, my voice cool and final. "Don't ever call me again." I hit end call before she could react. For the first time in 3 years, I felt something foreign settle over me. Peace, not fury, not heartbreak. Simply calm. Because for the first time since my first wife had died, I knew exactly what I had to do. How I had left her suddenly with no warning. She even showed up at my office, demanding to talk with me. Security had to escort her out. And the best part? Nobody was on her side anymore. Because as much as Amanda liked playing the victim, individuals weren't foolish. The same friends she had bragged to about dating other men were now watching her collapse apart. And not a single one was willing to bail her out. Her boyfriend? The moment she ran out of money, he ghosted her. The truth hit her hard. Amanda was now utterly alone. The final goodbye. One evening, I got a call from Jessica, an old acquaintance who had known Amanda before we got married. "Hey," she said, her voice apprehensive. "I ran into Amanda today. I noticed—" "Let me guess," I cut in. "She's telling everyone I'm a monster?" Jessica paused. "Actually, no. She looks dreadful, Daniel. Like, truly. She's sleeping in a motel right now? I guess she really has nowhere to go." I squeezed the bridge of my nose. I could almost see Amanda sitting in some filthy motel room, surrounded by the ruins of her own decisions. And for a few seconds, I felt nothing but relief. Because for years, I had been the only one suffering in our marriage. I had been the one sacrificing, compromising, and giving. And now, she was the one who had to face consequences. "Daniel," Jessica hesitated. "Are you really not going to assist her?" "No," I responded simply. Jessica let out a long breath. "Yeah, I don't blame you." We hung up. It was the last time anyone mentioned Amanda to me, because after that, she disappeared. Entirely. No more texts, no more calls, no more desperate attempts to guilt me back into her life. She was gone, and for the first time in 3 years, I felt something I hadn't felt in a very long time. Free. Moving forward. By the time I climbed into bed that night, I felt lighter than I had in years. Not just because Amanda was out of my life, but because I finally grasped something I had overlooked for too long. I wasn't responsible for Amanda's survival. I had spent so long trying to fix her, to save her, to make her happy. But Amanda had never wanted to be saved. She had desired an easy life. And when I stopped being the person paying for it, she broke. So now I could finally move on. And I would never let someone like Amanda back into my life again. Ensuring my children's future, Amanda was gone. But I wasn't foolish enough to assume she would stay gone. I knew her. I knew how she worked. And I knew that when need finally conquered her pride, she would come for the single thing she believed could still get her what she wanted. Caleb and Sophia. She didn't love them. She never had. But they were leverage. And if she couldn't get money out of me directly, she would find another method to force my hand. I wasn't going to let that happen. The moment Amanda's financial collapse struck rock bottom, I scheduled an urgent appointment with my lawyer, Mark. As I entered his office, I could feel the weight of every bad case scenario pushing down on me. Mark indicated for me to sit. I suspected this was coming, he said, bringing out a folder. Amanda's got no source of income now, does she? I shook my head. She lost the apartment. She's staying in a motel. Mark nodded, already taking notes. And she's reached out to you about money. More than once, I admitted. She tried to use the kids to guilt me, but when that didn't work, she just disappeared. Mark sighed. That won't last. She's waiting for the right moment, probably hoping you'll let your guard down. I clenched my jaw. That's why I need to make sure she can't touch my kids. Not now, not ever. Mark opened a file. We have options. Since Amanda was never their legal guardian, she has no automatic custody rights. But that doesn't mean she can't try to submit a claim. I frowned. On what grounds? He gave me a knowing look. Amanda's manipulative. If she plays the caring stepmother role in court, she could convince a judge that she has emotional standing in their lives. I sneered. She barely noticed their existence when we were together. Doesn't matter, Mark remarked. Family court isn't always about truth. It's about who tells the better story. I pushed forward, my stomach wrenching. So how do I make sure she never gets the chance, Mark? Switch to a new page. We update your will and custody plan. You need a legal guardian set up in case anything happens to you. Someone Amanda can't challenge. I nodded quickly. Olivia. Mark raised an eyebrow. The nanny? She's more of a mother to them than Amanda ever was, I replied firmly. She's been in their lives. She understands them, and she truly cares. Mark thought it over. It's unusual, but not impossible. If we create a credible case, we can ensure Olivia gets full custodial rights over the kids if anything happens to you. I inhaled, my chest clenching at the thought. I didn't like thinking about what-ifs, but I had to.